Currently in our application, we are able to secure some of the functionality of this simple block by requiring users to authenticate. For example, you can see now that I am not authenticated because I see both the register and login buttons. And when I go to the list of blog posts, I see the edit and delete button. But when I press them, I am being redirected to the login page. So that's, well, the first level of securing your application, that you need to have an account to perform a certain action. But then, if I authenticate, I am able to edit those blog posts, and actually I can edit all of them, and also I can delete every single blog post. And in the future, when we'll be adding comments, I would also be able, at least at this stage, to edit and delete comments of all the users, which probably doesn't make sense in the real world, because basically whoever will register on your application, especially with the open registration like we have, that basically you need to provide some username, password, and you can do anything. So this is where there is another level in the security of your application called authorization. And what that means is you are telling the application if certain user can perform a specific action. So the concept is actually pretty simple. So what we will do in this lecture is we will define certain authorization rules that, for example, users that haven't created a particular blog post won't be able to edit and delete those blog posts. But first, before we do that, since we already have a user ID of the blog post author on the blog post instance, we can display who has created a particular blog post. So let's go to the Visual Studio Code and modify our application. So let's find our views for the posts, which can be found inside the resources folder, and open the index and show template. So what we already have inside the show template, where we display a one single blog post, is we have this paragraph when we display when this was added. So we'll do the same with the index template. So let's copy this code, and we might place it below the title maybe. So we'll display that the post was added and the date when it was added using the div for humans, so it will show a nice text like it was added 3 minutes ago. But now we can also use our assigned user to display who it was added by. So we can do added by, and we can use post user name. And additionally, we can add some class like text muted. Now let's save the changes and refresh this page. Apparently I've used the wrong field name, so let's find blog post. Yes, so the problem is that we actually haven't defined a relation that Laravel can understand for the user. So we only generated a migration that added user ID to the blog post. So we'll also have to add a method for this relation. So this would be public function user, and we'll return this belongs to app user, and this is because the blog post itself contains a user ID field, and we can also do that on the other side. Inside the user, we'll define public function blog posts, and we'll return this has many, and this would relate to app blog post class. So this is a one-to-many relationship, so one user can have many blog posts, but one particular blog post can only be authored by one specific user. So now this should work. Let's refresh the page. And you can see it works perfectly. All the blog posts now have this text, when it was added and by whom it was added. So now we have this situation that we are authenticated by as John Doe, and we see different blog posts that were authored by different users. So we should only be able to edit those that we have added ourselves, and also delete only those that we have added ourselves, and not the other ones. So we'll see how to actually do that in the next lecture. I will first show you the simplest possible way to define those authorization constraints inside a Laravel application.